day, everybody! So my name is Teacher Elaine and I will be your research teacher for today. In most cases, data collection procedure is the most important step of research. So are you ready for our next adventure on finding answers to data collection? Rules for collecting data. There are 4 rules in data collection procedure. Number 1, if you must collect the original data, you must be sensitive to the burden on others. You must pre-test and post-test. You must establish procedures and follow them. And finally, you must maintain accurate records of definitions and codings. Number 2, you must use multiple data collection procedure. Number 3, use available data, but you will need to know the following: how the measures were defined, how the data were collected and cleaned, the extent of missing data, and finally, how accurate was the data ensured. And number 4, you must be responsible no matter where you got your data and information. At the end of our session, you will learn the following. Number 1, to identify factors that affect data collection procedures. Number 2, to evaluate sound research scheme that has a good foundation for data collection. Number 3, you will logically relate the way bias can be intentional or unintentional. And number 4, develop critical thinking skills for evaluating scientific information. Let's proceed with our lesson for today by first having an activity. Here are our guide questions. Were the pictures and the sentences drawn and written by individuals convey the same idea? What are the causes of the differences? What can be done to solve such problems?
I'm not prepared for this. It's a terrible drawing.
What a game face.
I'm not messing around.
Well, I have to read this something.
Yeah, I know. Then you gotta draw it. Good luck.
You covered it up, but now I can't see what it is.
Well, you can look at it.
The pictures and statement did not convey the same idea. They were made by different individuals. They were made with different interpretations that therefore caused bias. So there are 2 main types of biases. First is the sampling bias. Second is the measurement bias. Factors that contribute to sampling bias. We have sample size, and of course we have selection of sample. Minimize sample selection bias. First tip is to use random sampling. This is, every individual has an equal chance of likelihood of being chosen. Limit the question asked to a specific group of sample. Let's have an activity! In today's activity, you will practice identifying the sources of bias introduced by different experimental designs. Dr. Jackson is making observations at Davisville High School to investigate the rate of smoking among American teenagers. Dr. Jackson decides she will observe students having their lunch in the parking lot where smoking is permitted. Dr. Jackson observes 25 out of 30 students smoking in the parking lot. Based on her observations, she records that 83.3% of American teenagers smoke. What type of bias and where did it come from in the experiment?
For the next experiment, Dr. Cloud is conducting interviews of Davisville and Springville high school students to determine the rate of smoking among American teenagers. Dr. Cloud gets a list of all the students from each high school and randomly selects 50 students from each school. An appointment for the interviews is scheduled with each student and their parents. In the room, the students are asked questions such as, do you smoke regularly? Have you ever smoked? And what percentage of your friends smoke? After finishing the interviews, Dr. Cloud that only 1% of American teenagers smoke regularly and 18% of teenagers have tried smoking. For the next situation, Dr. Garcia is using both observations and interviews to investigate the rate of smoking among American teenagers. She first selected 3 study sites, 1 urban, 1 rural, and 1 suburban. Dr. Garcia went to 2 popular teenage hangouts in each study site and made observations of the teenage students standing around the building. She observed a total of 117 students, and of those 33 were smoking. Dr. Garcia then went to 1 high school in each study site and interviewed 25 students that will be interviewed by Dr. Garcia's study. Of the 75 total students, only 3 said that they smoke regularly. Taking the average percentage from her observations and interviews, Dr. Garcia concluded approximately 16% of American teenagers smoke. What could be the bias and its source?
Great work! Data collection can be negatively affected by the following factors such as bias, use of language, ethics, cost, time and timing, personal perspective, privacy issues, and cultural sensitivity. Data collection strategies. There is no one way wherein you can collect the best data, but when you collect data, you should depend on the following: numbers and stories, environment and stories, time and resources, complexity of data, frequency of data, and data analysis. Think we are ready for a test.
You may choose to pause the video so you can read the instructions. You may send your answers to heyelanephd@gmail.com.
Congratulations!
I never guess. It is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Insensibly, one begins to twist facts and theories instead of theories to suit facts.